Edwin Diaz is in serious trouble, and the Dodgers' ninth inning just became a major problem.
You are Locked On Dodgers, your daily Los Angeles Dodgers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I'm Harry Ruiz, that's Travis Rodgers, and it's time for Locked On Dodgers. On today's show, despite a terrifying moment, Freddie Freeman was back in the Dodgers lineup. We're talking about Shohei Ohtani's future in Los Angeles if ownership ends up changing. But first, the ninth inning is a problem for Edwin Diaz and LA. The Dodgers had this game right where they wanted it. 2-run lead, home crowd, bottom of the ninth, just 3 outs to go against Milwaukee. And once again, Edwin Diaz couldn't get the job done. Sugar, well, more like Splenda nowadays, came in from the bullpen with the Dodgers leading Milwaukee 5-3, and things unraveled quickly. He got William Contreras to start the inning, but then came 4 straight singles. And Travis, that's really where this gets concerning. This wasn't one bloop hit followed with some bad luck. Diaz was missing all over the plate. His fastball command wasn't there, and Milwaukee kept putting pressure on him, and he ended up getting yanked after the Brewers tied it up. Alex Vesia came in, and Jake Bauers got the final blow. Milwaukee wins 5-4. How worried are you right now about Edwin Diaz and the closer situation in LA?
Well, I think there's a lot there. I think that, first of all, this is why you should never, ever, ever pay relief pitchers. None of them, ever. They're all just completely, inconsistent and all over the place. Worried. I mean, I'm worried that Diaz may not get anybody out, but am I worried about the Dodgers and their ability to win games? No. I'm worried that the Diaz deal may be a bad deal and that they may be stuck with the guy who just is not going to perform at the level of the money he's making. Sure, I think that's a fair thing to be concerned with, but look, it wasn't just that he gave up 4 consecutive hits and couldn't hold on to a big lead in the ninth inning. This wasn't like, a 1-run lead and he, left one fat pitch and a guy popped a home run. This was a bunch of guys in a row putting pressure on him. I think that this is not, something that you got, we'll just wait, we'll wait. I think what Dave Roberts said after the game was kind of interesting. He said, I don't have a ton of better options at this point, that nobody really coming out of the bullpen is throwing the ball all that well. I think Dodger fans should probably get, comfortable with the idea, and I think they are, because we've seen it before, that your starting pitchers are the ones that are going to carry the load in the postseason, even if that means they're coming out of the bullpen in various spots. That, Sasaki wasn't great last night. He walked some guys, but if you needed to use him, okay, there's an option there. Tanner Scott's an option. If you need to put Glasnow out there, Robleski out there are some options to go out and bolster that bullpen. But as far as Edwin Diaz goes, he hasn't looked good all season, and maybe it's health related. Maybe it's knocking some rust off after missing a bunch of time, but there isn't a million miles of runway left to get him squared away. But I do think they have other options.
7 appearances so far since coming back from injury. Out of those 7 appearances, in 4, he has allowed multi-hit games. In 5, he has multiple base runners between 1 hit and 1 walk. That additional appearance, besides the 4 that he has allowed 2+ hits, he's only had 1 outing where he had a perfect inning, and that one came against the Kansas City Royals, who are a sub-500 team in Major League Baseball right now. But these are the type of teams that you're going to be facing in the playoffs, like the Milwaukee Brewers, who right now are on top of you in the National League standings, despite being swept by the San Diego Padres. And that's why this series is a 4-game series. This is what you're going to be facing, a team like the Brewers for at least 3 to 4 games in the playoffs, depending on if you're in the divisional round, depending on if you're in the championship series or the World Series. You're going to have to play consistently good baseball. And the Dodgers, they did enough to get into the 9th inning with the lead, but this is now the 3rd blown save for Edwin Diaz over his last 4 appearances. Blown saves against Arizona, 2 of them over there in Phoenix. The one last night against Milwaukee. Boy, he hasn't looked good. It's a worrying situation, and there's no trust for Dave Roberts to go out there and be like, all right, who else? Who else are we going to throw out there? That shows me there's no trust right now from Dave Roberts to Tanner Scott, to Edgardo Henriquez, to anybody else coming out of that bullpen. And that's not a good situation to be in a month and a half out of the playoffs. The only silver lining right there is that, okay, you're looking into potentially getting Roki Sasaki back in the bullpen when all the rotation is healthy. You're looking into, maybe saying it right now isn't as nice as a month ago, Justin Robleski going into the bullpen once everybody is healthy and you got the rotation that you want with your Cy Young Award winners, Tarek Skubal, Blake Snell, the future Cy Young Award winner, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Shohei Ohtani. When you got everybody, then you send some of those guys in the bullpen and they can become a solution. But Travis, last year we had the same situation with Tanner Scott, blown save after blown save. This year it's Edwin Diaz.
Yeah, he's been, I think that's the part to me that's most complicated. It's not like he's going through a bad patch. There hasn't been a good patch. He just has not looked good all season long. And I guess if you're trying to be optimistic, the most optimistic take would be that he's still fighting back from an injury, he's still trying to get sharp again. We will see. I just know that horn thing coming in when you are a lousy pitcher is not cool. It looks ridiculous. Like if you're going to do this big ceremony, you better get some people out. Otherwise, let's turn the horns off until you get a few guys out along the way. And look, Dodgers weren't very good last night. Muncy hit a home run is really the only reason they were in a position to win that game in the first place. I think they only had 4 or 5 hits. Sasaki walked in 2 guys with the bases loaded, which is unacceptable under any circumstances. So it was not a good performance. They had a chance to win because Muncy did something very cool, but overall they did not look particularly good. It was a missed opportunity for them to kind of, take a deep breath, win that. What would that be? That'd be 4 in a row at that point and start to feel like you got a chance to look like the team you are. But this was a setback for sure, because Díaz is just, I think it was probably pretty clear before last night's game, but even considering last night's game, clearly he is not an option that you feel great about at this point.
Yeah, and that 3-run home run for Max Muncy came off the bench on a day that he had gotten off. He comes in, he pinch hits, he gets that big moment for him. Shout out Ben Rortvedt as well, who had the RBI single earlier in the game to put the Dodgers on the scoreboard. Roki Sasaki, his final line in the game, 6 innings pitched, 4 hits, 2 earned runs, 5 walks. That right there is a handful that you don't want to see when you put 5 runners on base for free with no control. That right there is going to put you in a more difficult situation. I'm surprised that it was only 2 runs that he ended up allowing in the 6 innings that he was on the mound.
He was a little lucky to just give up the 2. I agree with you, especially when you walk 5 guys. And look, it might have been a bad day. Let's hope that the big glove continues to reap results. If not, go get him a bigger one for the next start that he has out there. We'll see what that is. But I think the part that, if I'm really being, if I was optimistic before, if I'm being a little less optimistic now, I think the part that makes you go, oh boy, is that was the way of pitching that we saw earlier, which was, I don't want to throw the ball over the plate because I'm afraid of what might happen if I throw a strike. So he tried to nibble. He tried to get very, very precise. That almost never works. Walking, they didn't have to hit the ball to score runs. That's completely out of the bounds. So I think that hopefully it's just a bad day. Hopefully he goes back out there and looks like the guy that has attacked the strike zone over and over and over. And he nearly got out of it in that inning where he had the bases loaded with 1 out, struck a guy out. You're like, okay, this is a chance for some real growth. Instead, it was a massive regression because it wasn't just 1 walk with the bases loaded. It was 2 walks with the bases loaded. And by the way, both ball 4s weren't close. So, it was very demoralizing in the growth of Roki Sasaki, because walking guys is the one thing that you can't do, and it's the one thing that he did do yesterday.
And Roki not having an ideal outing, and the bats having a bad day against a good Milwaukee Brewers pitching staff would have been at least tolerable if Edwin Diaz was able to save the game and be able to get those 3 outs in the 9th inning. That wasn't the case, and now we're talking about another defeat for the Dodgers. And I was going through stretches that the Dodgers have had between the right before the All-Star break and right after the All-Star break the last 3 seasons. And it's incredible how it looks all pretty much similar. 2024, between June 28th and August 2nd, 15-18, a .454 winning percentage. Last year, from July 4th through August 13th, 12-21, a .363 winning percentage. And then this year, from July 5th through August 13th, 14-18, a 437 winning percentage. It's like this is the part of the year where the Dodgers have struggled now 3 consecutive seasons. The good thing is that the last 2 years, they ended up winning the World Series. The difference with the previous 2 years, where I noticed that they didn't have this bad stretch, is that they end up winning 100 games. They ended up getting the boot in the first round of the playoffs in the NLDS. Now let's see if they're able to get out of this funk in the right moment. And that's the key, Travis. I have no reason to believe that they won't get out of this funk. They got enough talent all over the roster, and it has happened the last 2 years where they don't get to September as the hottest team in baseball, but they end up being the best team in baseball by the end of October.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead and break out your crystal ball. Nobody knows anything. And it's just that lulls are part of it. Nobody knows when they come. Nobody knows when they go. Nobody knows why you get hot or why you stay cold. It's just you hope that the baseball gods smile on you when they need to smile on you the most, which is in about 8 weeks from right now. Look, it's neither right around the corner or a long way to go. You're kind of in that weird spot where you can kind of see the finish line from where you are right now. You'd like to kind of play a little bit better than you have, but it's going to come around. To your point, this is a team that's been through it before. Just because they did it the last couple of years doesn't mean they will this year, but it also means they know what it feels like and that they're not going to panic. And that's where I always come back with this team. Is it's a veteran team that's been through it many, many times. They know what this is. They know what it feels like. They know how to play in the playoffs. And even if they have an ugly night like they did last night, it's not going to define them the rest of the way.
So, Travis, this question goes out to our viewers, to our listeners, but I'm also going to ask you, if you're the Dodgers manager, do you keep Edwin Diaz as your closer, or would you give someone else the 9th inning right now? And if that's the case, who, Travis?
I would continue to use him until I literally can't use him. And I think right now you still have a comfortable lead in your division. You're still very close to Milwaukee and Atlanta. It's not like you have to worry about. You can still continue to experiment a little bit. But in the background, I would be feeling out all of my other options, whether that's Scott, whether that's Vezia, whether that's Dreyer, whether that's Enriquez, whoever it is, because you can't hit the ground at the beginning of October and then try to figure it out. You're going to have to figure it out with a little bit of time left in September. But for now, sure, keep using him. But plan B needs to be right next to you.
LA has an 8-game lead over San Diego in the National League West. They're 2 games back from Milwaukee for the best record in the National League, and only half a game back from let's call it that way, from the wild card round right behind the Atlanta Braves. So that's what Travis had to say. What's your answer? Let me know in the comments on the YouTube section, or reach out via social media, or also 2793-LOCK. That's the Locked On Dodgers listener line. We want to hear where you stand. Coming up on Locked On Dodgers, there's been plenty of speculation surrounding Shohei Ohtani and what could happen if Dodgers ownership ever changes. But the latest info should make Dodgers fans feel a whole lot better.
Can we talk about one of the most underrated organs in your body, your liver? It's your liver's filter, your body's filter, I should say, processing everything you consume and performing more than 500 functions each and every day. It's involved in things like energy production, digestion, fat metabolism, vitamin storage. So it's doing quite a bit of work behind the scenes. That's why giving your liver daily support can make an important part of building a healthy habit. So Dose for Your Liver is a clinically backed liver health supplement designed to support daily liver function. And unlike other capsules or powders, Dose comes as a liquid 2-ounce daily shot that tastes like fresh squeezed orange juice. 0 sugar, 0 junk, and 0 calories, making it an easy addition to your daily routine. And, we're all busy. We got a million things we got to do every day, whether you're going to games, you're traveling, you're working, late nights, packed schedules. That's why simple routines matter. And now Dose gives you a quick 2-ounce shot that can easily become a part of your everyday routine. So ready to give your liver the support it deserves? Head to dose.co/LockedOnMLB or enter LockedOnMLB to get 35% off your first subscription. Your body does so much for you. Let's do something for it. That's DOSEDAILY.co/LockedOnMLB for 35% off your first month subscription. Before we get into today's show, it's time for a little everyday icon presented by Stance. As the official sock partner of Major League Baseball, Stance knows greatness isn't built in a single moment. It's earned over time through consistency, preparation, and showing up every day. That's why each week we're recognizing one player whose performance embodies those same qualities. Let's talk about Max Muncy, right? Max Muncy hits that home run last night. Most home runs at Dodger Stadium as anybody. Eric Karros walking on, and just an unbelievable, consistent performer, just like Stance, right? The everyday icon is presented by Stance, and nobody's better at that than Max Muncy. Check out the Icon Collection from Stance. Premium comfort, performance, and durability designed for whatever you're doing and your day brings. So use the promo code LOCKEDON at checkout for 20% off your purchase. Stance, the official sock partner of Major League Baseball. Learn more at stance.com.
Are you new here? Welcome. Everydayers, you already know you're the heartbeat of our show. It's easy and free to help us out. Subscribe and like our content on YouTube. Drop a 5-star review on Apple or Spotify. Those help out tons. And hit up the Locked On Dodgers listener line, 2793-LOCKED. That's 279-356-2533. You can leave either a voicemail or shoot us a text. Shohei isn't going anywhere. Let's talk about Ohtani, because over the last couple of days, there has been a lot of conversation about his contract and that famous key man clause. And here's the simple version. Dodgers fans don't need to start worrying about Ohtani. His 10-year, $700 million contract, we know it includes a provision that could allow him to opt out if certain key Dodgers figures leave the organization. One is Andrew Friedman. The other one is Mark Walter, who he sold the Lakers just a bit over a year after he purchased it. If you just look on return on investment, $10 billion 1 year, $12 billion the other one. Travis, that right there is a big chunk of change that he got back, but it's not like he was urging to get that type of money. So it got people's hamster in their brain circling. Is like, something going to happen here? Because is the Dodgers the next team? And if that's so, the key man clause made everybody think, but everything that's coming out of Shohei's camp is that it seems like even if Walter were to leave, if he were to sell the team, Shohei would still be comfortable staying in Los Angeles with the way that the team has been run the first 2 years he's been on the squad.
Yeah, we've spent a lot of time talking about this on my radio show on 710 ESPN here in Los Angeles. And I think it's a fair question. It's a fair concern to ask about the Dodgers and Ohtani, because the sale of the Lakers was so unexpected. And it literally, you and I were doing the show the other day, a couple of days ago. And when we were done, I said to you, I'm like, did you just see that the Lakers sold? And we were both looking at each other like, wait, what? Like, why they just bought him. They just moved into the new house, so to speak. And all of a sudden to flip it like that was such a big surprise that I think it's fair to ask if there are any other surprises that are coming in that guy's universe, right? So Mark Walter did not buy the Lakers to make a few bucks in a year. He bought the Lakers because they're the crown jewel of the NBA, much like the Dodgers are one of the prestige franchises in Major League Baseball. The Lakers are the team in the NBA. So that he got out of it as quickly as it did makes a million questions come up. And then, of course, you know that he's got some legal things that are going on. Nobody's quite exactly sure what that is. So you put two and two together and you start asking questions. And the fact that there's that key man clause in Ohtani's contract, I think it's a fair question. I don't think he's going anywhere. Doesn't sound like they're dropping any breadcrumbs that he's going anywhere. But I keep coming back to this, Harry. Did anybody think the Lakers were going to get sold to Bob Iger and Josh Kushner a couple of days ago? No. So until the next thing happens in that world, and I don't know what that world is. I don't know if that is the investigation is concluded, the investigation is ramped up, the investigation needs more funding, or whatever the next step might be. We're not going to know what it is with the Dodgers. If he just sells the team and you fast forward a year or two or whatever it is and nothing else really happens, I think that's the time that the temperature starts to come back down a little bit. But until then, nobody's going to say something like, well, yeah, I'm thinking about leaving. That's never going to come out. But did anybody think the Lakers were going to sell in a year that just boom out of nowhere? So the out of nowhere play is on the table all of a sudden. And of course, Shohei is at the top of the list with all of this stuff. And because he doesn't really talk to anybody or say anything, we don't really know what's going on inside his head at any given time. It's an interesting topic. He'll be here for the foreseeable future, but there may not be baseball. There may not be the same ownership group. You just don't know. And the speed and the unexpectedness of the Lakers sale is what made everybody else feel a little uncomfortable because it was just so unexpected.
And we've all known about the clause from the moment that Shohei Ohtani signed that contract, because there's very few contracts in sports that have this clause. And ironically, one of them was Joe Madden when he was with the Tampa Bay Rays, and it had him attached to Andrew Friedman. So the moment that Friedman took the gig with the Dodgers, Joe Madden, he said that he had forgotten about the clause. And then his agent told him, yo, by the way, Friedman just left. You can become a free agent if you want. And what does he do? He goes over to the Cubs, and we know the success that he had over in Chicago. But in this case, Shohei Ohtani, it's a very complex situation, a 10-year, $700 million contract, heavily deferred because he wanted the team to invest money to make sure that he was in a winning franchise where it wasn't just Shohei Ohtani and everybody else. No, he wants to be able to have talent, a good talent influx every offseason, and that's what the Dodgers have done. They've given him a better roster each offseason that he has been with the team. And Travis, the big question mark, even if he were able to become a free agent again, where else would he go where a team would be able to commit the way that the Dodgers have committed to him, especially if potentially next year you end up with a salary cap in baseball and everybody's more in a similar playing surface? All the contracts would be honored that were previously signed. So you know that the Dodgers are going to have a lot of talent. You don't know if the other teams are going to be in the same situation. And even if everybody that are in current contracts right now, something happens, you know that the Dodgers are one of the deepest farm systems, and they have Andrew Friedman still at the helm. I see it very difficult, even if Walter, for one reason or another, ends up being out with LA, that Shohei would say no, and that's why it just seems logical. LA is the place to be for Shohei for now and for the foreseeable future.
I agree. I think that there aren't obvious spots for him that are more desirable than the one that he has right here. I think the fact that he's started a family, I think probably helps the Dodgers more than anything else. The older the kids get, the harder it is to move them and things like that. Not his economics are different than most other people's, understandably, but it's still family stuff. It's still stuff that you'd really rather not do a lot of the time. So again, this is all stuff that is probably either not going to happen ever, or something that would happen far, far, far down the line. So I don't think it's a top of the mind concern, but that Laker thing was just so out of left field, just so unexpected, that the fact that the same guy that did that owns the Dodgers brought all sorts of other questions up. But all of that stuff seems exceptionally unlikely.
No doubt about it. And the way that the Dodgers have been able to capitalize on Shohei Ohtani, the way that they have in the 2+ years that he's been on the franchise, this is the same player, the exact same guy that was playing 31 miles down the road from Dodger Stadium at Angel Stadium. And for multiple years, they weren't able to do what the Dodgers did in year one. Commercially, marketing wise, being able to just capitalize on everything that you can with the Shohei Ohtani brand. There's teams that potentially now they would want to pay those $700 million that the Dodgers paid Ohtani, seeing that the way the Dodgers did business with him. But nowadays you have the proven commodity with the Dodgers, the way that they took advantage of Shohei in a positive way, both for him, his brand, and the Dodgers brand, versus, okay, would the Yankees be able to do the same thing? Would the Cubs be able to do the same thing? I feel that it's just right now a marriage that's not going to go nowhere, despite if there's a little change here or there when it comes to ownership. So let's close segment 2, asking you, our viewer, our listener, if the Dodgers never changed ownership, would you worry about Shohei Ohtani using his opt-out, or do you think he's staying in LA for good no matter what? Drop your answer in the comments or hit me up on social. I'm at Harry Ruiz on X, at Harry_Ruiz on Instagram, and on TikTok at Harry Ruiz_. Travis, he's available on X and IG at Travis Rodgers. Next on Locked On Dodgers, we are going to talk about a moment that had every Dodger fan holding their breath. Freddie Freeman went crashing down the dugout stairs, and somehow, some way, he was right back in the lineup the next day. Nothing beats watching a Dodgers game. Even better when you get to watch it live. The energy in the stands, the crowd roaring, that electric vibe you just can't get anywhere else. The only downside is that scoring tickets can be a total pain, with endless lines, random fees, and prices that jump right before you hit checkout. That's why I've been using Game Time. The app makes it super easy. Real tickets, delivered fast, and at the best prices. Why? Because the fees, they're already baked in, so what you see is exactly what you pay. No surprises at all. You can follow the Dodgers on the app, and with that, you get alerts when fresh deals pop up, and literally grab great seats in just 2 taps, making it super easy to decide hitting up a game last minute. If you're thinking about heading out to the stadium, download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Check out Pete Fox on our YouTube channel with the Locked On Dodgers postcast right after the final out for immediate reaction of every Dodgers game. He's finally seeing the light at the end of the tunnel for a day off after all this big streak of games for the boys in blue in consecutive days, but we need to get some wins against the Brewers. And for the Dodgers to be able to get a win or 2 or hopefully 3 against Milwaukee, a very important guy is Freddie, who him and the Dodgers dodged a huge bullet, because there are moments during a baseball game where you don't even care about the score anymore and you just want to know if the player is okay. And that's exactly what happened with Freddie Freeman on Wednesday's game. He took a frightening tumble down the dugout stairs on the first base side of the field. He went down hard. Travis, he stayed on the ground for several moments and immediately had Dodgers players and trainers rushing over to check on him. And that was a frightening moment to see, something you never want to see, and something that honestly I'm surprised it doesn't happen very often, and thankfully it doesn't.
Yeah, it was one of those moments where you're like, okay, he's hurt. How bad? Like it wasn't a matter of, okay, is he going to be okay? It's did he knock his teeth out? Did he break his arm? Did he break his wrist? Did he wrench his knee? Because this wasn't just, there are injuries that you're like, okay, maybe he's going to pop right back up. And then there are other things. It's like, okay, that was horrible. Just how horrible is it going to be? And his was in the second category, only he kind of did pop right back up. Like from the time he fell in to the time he was standing up again was pretty quick. He's a pretty tough guy. Like he plays just about every single day. I think one of the things that, other than getting 2 hits a night and having, 500 doubles every single season, he's just an incredibly reliable player. He obviously takes very good care of his body, that he's able to continue to play the way that he has. So these are all very good signs in coming back. He was in the lineup again last night. I think that's a good sign. I think he's scheduled for an off day today. So I think that was already on the books. So maybe he's got a chance to kind of, get a massage and take some Tylenol and sit there and feel a little better. But that was really, really frightening. And that's why you see those guys typically kind of go over there pretty cautiously and kind of, look up at the ball and look down at the ground and look up at the ball and kind of doing that thing the whole time. He just had his head up, tracking the ball along the way, and he just lost track of where he was in the field, and down he goes. So like you said, very, very scary. Glad he's all right. Tough guy, because he is one of those guys that even when he's not hitting 500 the way that he was for the last 2 or 3 weeks, he's an incredibly valuable player on that team, and just having him out there every day matters a great deal. And they're very lucky that he's in one piece.
For me, it felt like it was 3 hours from the moment he went down, from the moment he went up, seeing the staff from the Royals just to be like, holy crap, he's going down. The photographers, Miguel Rojas rushing down to the dugout to see if he was okay. My mind was like, okay, if not Freddie, who's going to be playing first base? Dalton rushing cert. Well, Smith ain't back. I was just like, my mind was all over the place, and that's why it just felt like an eternity my mind about Shohei Ohtani, because the playoffs are a month and a half away, because this is a guy that, unlike if you lose, for example, a Mookie Betts, a Tommy Edman, an Andy Paz, a Teoscar Hernandez, no disrespect to them, you feel that you got enough pieces to move around. But Freddie Freeman, in my opinion, is one of the guys in this lineup that you're like, this is a guy you need. Him, Shohei Ohtani right now. Those are two of the guys. Max Muncy, I could include him right there as well because of his bat. But, versatility-wise, you can have players that you can slot at third base with Kike, with Tommy Edman. But first base, I just feel that both with the bat and defensively, the way that he scoops baseballs with bad throws, the way that his height helps him with high line drives to his side of the base. It's like just the complete player that Freddie Freeman is made that moment an even scarier one compared to if it had been another guy going down into that dugout, crashing down. So fortunately, he's okay. I'm pretty sure he's bruised, he's hurt, but at the same time, for him to go out there, that just shows you the type of player he is, Travis. I got a feeling if it had been somebody else, that other player might have been, you know what? Let me get a day off here. I want to make sure my body's okay. Freddie Freeman is an old school guy, man. He's an old school player. He's like Cal Ripken Jr. He doesn't want to miss games. And I'm pretty sure whenever he gets a day off, it's because he's getting forced to get a day off.
Yeah, he's a very tough guy. And I agree with most of what you said. I think that his presence and, yes, his offense is a huge part of what makes him him. Yes, he's a very, very good defensive first baseman as well. It's just his presence. Like having Freddie Freeman in the middle of your lineup is a really upsetting thing for opposing pitchers because he doesn't swing at bad pitches very often. He doesn't go out of the zone. He knows how to deliver in a big moment. He's about as consistent and as steady a performer as it's going to be. Like, as great as Shohei is, Shohei gets on tilt occasionally. Shohei will swing at a bad pitch. Like, Max Muncy is a really important part of what they do, but he can go cold for periods of time. Like, Freddie is just so remarkably consistent and just he's there every day, both offensively, defensively. And I'm sure that translates into the clubhouse and just being a leadership voice on that team. And having him stay in the lineup was a very big break because it was a bad fall. It was a very scary moment.
Yeah, you saw the fall, and like you said, it's like, did he break something? Are his ribs okay? His arm? It's like just every possible scenario was in everybody's mind, but a day off definitely will be able to help. And even though he was hurt, he went 0 for 3, got a walk and scored a run, which were hard to come by for the Dodgers against Milwaukee, but a huge sigh of relief for every Dodgers fan that was watching that game. Get that soreness taken care of, Freddie. Relax a little bit, enjoy the family, and we'll see you back at Dodger Stadium this weekend, eventually, hopefully so, at 100%. But man, that was a moment that got everybody a little bit nervous, but seeing him play the next day definitely gave us a little bit more of RELAX. Relax. Calm down. He's still there for us. So let me ask you, checking out our show, how surprised were you to see Freddie Freeman back in the lineup the very next day? And would you have rested him if you were the Dodgers? Let me know in the YouTube comments or reach out on social media. All right, that's going to do it for today's episode. Thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen of the day. And thank you for making Locked On, which is celebrating its 10th anniversary, the #1 sports podcast network. Travis and I will be back on Monday to recap the Dodgers series against the Brewers. That includes some excellent pitchers taking the mound each of the next 3 nights. We got Yoshinobu Yamamoto today, Friday, Jacob Mizorowski on Saturday, and Tarek Skubal on Sunday. Travis, if you love pitchers that are excellent, you got a great menu this weekend for the Dodgers and Brewers.
Yeah, and this is a team that they will likely have to play in the postseason, a team that we've seen them play before. So, yeah, it's a great weekend for Dodger baseball, and be nice to see them swing the bats a little bit and close out a game.
NLCS preview, maybe? Could be. So get ready, get that popcorn ready if you're at home. If you're watching on YouTube, stick around and check out the 24/7 National Locked On Podcast Network channel. And if you're listening on audio, make Locked On MLB your second listen of the day. We appreciate you riding with us. Until next time, keep it real, keep it Dodger Blue.